were not that good the previous season, but this season they look pretty good and scary. Freeze is usually carrying, and if not Freeze, it's Soren, so they're swapping positioning, and now they look really strong in this season, so I'm a bit afraid of our friends.
Welcome back to the European LCS, where the Unicorns of Love are setting up to take on the Copenhagen Wolves in our last match of the day. The Animal Kingdom. We'll see who's going to reign supreme. Let's see the lineup for the Unicorns of Love before we start talking about their team. It's Chachi, Kickers, Power of Evil, Vardags, Hillesang, and their coach, Sheepy. Power of Evil, this is a guy who continues to play, who continues to cast a shadow that the rest of his team has to play in. If you take a look at his team's damage, and how his team did not help him last week. They did not facilitate his AP cog. It's something that the team has to rectify if they want to stand a chance.
Well, in one of the games they didn't, and then the second time they tried it again, and they played around the Kog'Maw pick a lot better. First time they started a draft in which Kog'Maw wasn't the ideal pick, but then next day they remembered, hey guys, AP Kog'Maw works, let's just play it, build a draft around it, peel for it, but he's the driving force in these games, and against Elements, he did so much poke and he didn't get caught. And Elements kept engaging with On the Hunt on targets that were not Power of Evil. And if you do that when Unicorns play such a mid lane centric style, he's able to carry, and definitely so. Wonder if he will get his hands on Kog'Maw, and if he does, if the other team has something prepared for it.
Yeah, and even if he does get his hands on Kog'Maw, you know, in the post-game interview, I was talking to him about the matchup, and he just says, you just got to get to level 11. You've just got, like, it's easy. Just get to level 11, and then you can win the game. And as you said, it works once, it doesn't work another time. I don't know if it's a sustainable strategy, because not only does Unicorns of Love have to play around that very passive early game and then get control in mid-game, but it's also reliant on their opponents not being aggressive enough to shut them down.
I mean, it is a strategy. I imagine Unicorns have played this champion enough to know how it works and have had time to expand their strategy pool. This is definitely not the Unicorns that you would immediately identify. You don't identify Unicorns with a 4-man helping the Power of Evil on Kog'Maw. That is not the Bloodbath style that we're used to, so a lot of other options available for the Unicorns, definitely for sure as well. See which one of these on the Rift. I expect either a Kog'Maw ban or just a counter pick ready for it.
Now let's talk about some of the other regions that are playing Kog'Maw, primarily NA. We saw it feature a whole lot last week to mixed results. Most notably, I think, Incarnation from Cloud9 also 1-1 on the split, much like Power of Evil. Is it something that's only the LCS regions are playing for a reason? Because we're not really seeing it super popular elsewhere. We've seen the Varus picked up a bunch of times over in LCK and LPL.
I mean, poke champions that scale well are incredibly potent if you can make them work. But the thing is, if you go back to that game where C9 played against TSM and Bjergsen had this monster lead on Incarnation, showing that you can shut that Kog'Maw down in laning phase. Yes, he can come back later, but what I felt lacking is that in that game was the two-step process that I always harp on about. If he goes low, then why don't you push in your side lane, send in your top laner and your support, and dive him? You have an innate advantage. Capitalize on that advantage. Try and take down the Kog'Maw. That's not what happens. Yes, if you give him time to scale. Yes, if you give him time to get his Ludens, then he can start dishing out the poke damage repetitively over and over and over. But if you try and catch him when he's immobile early, blow his flash, then come back, kill him again, and keep putting him down, it's easy to find the weak spot in a composition built around one man. Obviously, you take him down, the rest will follow.
Easy in theory, and the team that's going to have to try
from here it's easy.
the team that's going to have to try make those easy plans come into fruition will be the Copenhagen Wolves. Let's take a look at their lineup as they are on stage. Youngbuck, Airwax, Soren, Freeze, and Limited, and they of course will be playing this week without a coach, and you can check out LOL Esports for why. We do have to just give you a quick update. We are changing one of the monitors. You can see the tech guys on stage, so we are a few minutes delayed before we jump into this game. So let's touch on the Copenhagen Wolves, because they beat SK Gaming in phenomenal style. The man that's just out of line there, Airwax, a just fantastic performance on Evelyn. Yeah. He really showed up. And then the next day they lost to Giants. Now last week I was surprised by that. Watching Giants take down Elements this week makes it less surprising. However, it was these mixed results and mixed performances once more.
And it was in the manner that they beat SK what I really liked. They didn't just do it in sheer outplays in terms of laning or get lucky with a snowball. No, it was a macro decision. Wolves played the map smart. If you recall back to that game, if you don't remember, what happened was SK initiated a lane swap in which they're usually predictable, as we said earlier. Freddy went to that top lane, and then because of the way the wave swap went out, rather, Youngbuck grouped up with Airbags for a 2-man invade. They forced Svenskern out of his jungle, put him behind, then went top, shut down Freddy again. And you see the top side of the map, weak for SK, and they exploited that. And it was smart. It was a good macro play from the Copenhagen Wolves, where I think that was one of their bigger weaknesses in the last split. Yes, they could get ahead. Yes, they get leads. But it would always be these sloppy, long games, long, drawn out, fifth dragon against elements. Know how that feels. Not quite fun to be in. And I just want the Wolves to get better at this macro play. And yeah, wondering if that works.
Well, we'll keep an eye on the macro players. We are getting ready for Game 3. Let's talk about Freeze, who had a just fantastic week number 1. He dealt triple the amount of damage that his opposite number Vardags put on the map. It helps, of course, when he plays that Draven and ends up going 8-0 and 5. But look at the difference when it comes to team damage. Again, in Copenhagen Wolves, the team is built around making Freeze carry, Freeze and Soren, whereas Unicorns is different, so it's a little unfair, but it also really shows you just how big of a contrast it is.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Vardax wasn't playing any high damage 80 carries. I believe one game he was playing on Kalista, initiated that freeze, that later freeze, froze as well, so a lot of freezes here. If you haven't noticed, I don't like freezes too much, but we'll get back to that later. But yeah, vastly out-damaged, and it just indicates what you said earlier about that. You know, that Kog'Maw pick. Are the Unicorns going to play like that again? Because the damage just falls so low on all the other members because they're on support duty. And are the Wolves going to buy into that? Do they want to counter that? I'm eager to see how this draft plays out eventually.
Yeah, we will find out, guys. Just to remind you that Monitor was swapped out. You can see Airwax as well as our QA guys there just finalizing the login details. One thing we want to touch on, and something we've been looking at along with Spellsy and with all the guys we've got in the office, is the early game impact these teams have and how good or bad they are within the first 15 minutes. And both of these teams had relatively strong early games. This is Copenhagen Wolves, but Unicorns of Love not necessarily themselves. So look at the Wolves. 9 kills and only 4 deaths in the first 15 minutes. Last week we were talking about efficiency of kills. How much do they give up? So this is something that Copenhagen Wolves will be happy about. Unicorns of Love, on the other hand, nearly the exact opposite. Only 1 kill for their 4 deaths. But this again plays into the whole story. It's Kog'Maw, it's play for 11, it's play passive and safe.
Yeah, second most passive in summer, and obviously Elements the most passive team prior to this week, but this is not the Unicorns of old that we're used to seeing. If somebody would have told you, you know, week 1 LCS, Trevor, Unicorns will come in, they will get 1 kill, die 4 times, and that'll be it. 50 minutes, over 2 games. We'd call him crazy.
I would have called him a liar, is what I would have called him.
Liar, pants on fire.
Unicorns are adopting their playoff poke style. Whereas in the regular season, they were a lot more aggressive, they were a lot more in your face, a lot messier. Power of Evil's Cassio comes to mind a number of times, and the team running with Yorick as well.
Yeah, the Yorick-Cassio combo was so annoying to play against it. We scrimmed against it, and you just simply forget that Cassiopeia, once you kill her, she will come back from the grave, and you have to kill her again. So actually the ideal way to deal with that is you kill the ghost first, and then you kill Cassio, because otherwise she will spawn at full HP again. But then you're killing a 6th member that isn't really even a champion. You have a full HP Cassio killing you. Like, who do you kill in those situations? And I want to see them, and I think they can get their hands on these champions if they just leave the mid lane open. And yeah, Soren also, however, a valid Cassiopeia player. So if they want to get their hands on that champion, they'll have to first pick it.
So, we are about to jump into picks and bans. The players are finally setting themselves up. You can see Ewax getting comfortable. Let's talk about the pick and ban strategy and what we're somewhat expecting in this game. Rise, again, has shown through in the 4 previous games. Crepo, at the top of the show, all those hours ago, I remember you talking about Copenhagen Wolves and how they banned Rek'Sai and LeBlanc in both of their games.
Like LeBlanc first?
And now they're on red side as well.
Plus Rise.
Plus Rise.
Are you doing my job again?
Plus Gragas. Like, where else are they going?
Yeah, no. You actually make a really solid point there. If they continue the trend of banning LeBlanc and Rek'Sai again, and they have to add that 3rd ban Rise, then there's nothing left. I imagine that's not the way it's going to go, but they might just not. Either they ban these champions again, or they find themselves playing against champions that they don't want to play against. So basically lose-lose situations, or they've done the right thing, and they've practiced really hard this week, and they're ready to break that pattern. Because once you fall into patterns, you know teams are going to look out for that, but you can use that to your advantage as well. Bait them into that, believing that you can't play against these champions, and just stay one mental step ahead.
One mental step ahead. It's going to be a tough job, because against the Unicorns of Love, they've fallen into a little bit of a pattern recently with this poke-heavy gameplay style. Kikis, of course, played that Nunu last week, which I was not particularly impressed by. I feel a player like Kikis can have such a good impact on your game. It looks like Unlimited is busy meditating.
Gotta say
himself into the zone.
I mean, these pauses have a bit of an effect on the players. If you're nervous coming in, Unlimited channeling his inner mantra right there, staying nice and calm. However, I don't want him to be calm. I want him to be ferocious. 9 kills and 4 deaths in the first week. I want to see more blood. I want to see action. 5th game in a row here.
For Unlimited, he played Morgana and Nautilus last week. A 14 KDA, 0-1-14 on that Morgana. Fantastic game. That was, of course, against SK. Let's see if he's going to get his hands on the same thing. I do see the players filtering into the lobby, so this extended match introduction will be leading to picks and bans very, very shortly. And Copenhagen Wolves, will they stick to their standard of Rek'Sai as well as LeBlanc? Will Unicorns be added? Will Rise or Gragas make it through? Will Rek'Sai make it through? All of these questions we're about to find out.
Find out on the next episode of Champ Select. Now, Unicorns open up with the Draven ban, not too big a surprise. And Copenhagen Wolves immediately telling the Unicorns, you are not playing Kog'Maw today.
Okay. Copenhagen Wolves need to decide.
That was a statement.
On their second ban. Zia is removed. Cassio
becomes more likely.
Is one of the possibilities.
Varus. Copenhagen Wolves don't like poke, Trevor. So far they don't.
Well, this means we might actually get that bloodbath game you're talking about. Xerath still a possibility as well.
6, a lot of poke left. Wolves really don't like that.
But importantly, LeBlanc up, Rek'Sai up, Gragas up. So all of these other picks, Urgot as well, which Freeze has run, and Bardags has won as well. Played rather.
I like this reactionary ban because Kallista's out. Goes up in market value. Sivir goes up in market value, and now Rek'Sai 3rd ban by the Copenhagen Wolves, which says, yeah, Unicorns, you seem to want that Cassiopeia, but if you do, we will get a tier 1 jungler in return. If we pick it. Or apparently Gragas is no longer tier 1 after his slight nerfs, and Copenhagen Wolves go for the Evelynn and the Maokai. A lot of times young, but early picks now.
It's interesting you say that, because with that sort of weight loss on the body slam from Gragas this patch, Cabochard took him top lane. Airwax opts to go for the Evelynn, which of course helped him win against SK last week. And Unicorns reply, Rise and Sivir.
We forgot about Rise totally here. Wolves not ready to pick that up, and Unicorns like it. No Yorick to supplement this Cassiopeia unless the illustrious support Yorick comes out.
Or jungle Yorick. Been done before.
Has been done before. Wouldn't be too bad with this triple carry composition. A lot of damage on Unicorn's side.
That is most
decent amount of CC as well. Huni max W in this game, not Q. To remember that. Soren hovering some more damage on his side with the Victor.
Trying to remember as well, was it also a Rise into Maokai matchup for Fnatic?
Yes, it was. Twisted Advance came out on Huni first, blew his flash.
There we go.
Follow up by the Gragas jungle, killed him.
And we saw how effective Rise was with the tier plus blasting wand. Shredded Maokai in lane over and over. The reply from Copenhagen Wolves, everybody's locking their role. Soren's decided with Kassadin. Freeze has decided with Lucian. Both respectively their first picks on these champions this split.
Yeah, channeling is inner forgiven, picking up the Lucian while Draven and Kalista are out, not opting for the Urgot. Copenhagen Wolves, it has to be mentioned, very low on wave clear so far.
I'll have to find out how they handle that. A lot of importance on the early game. But you feel like Cassio's going to push you in, Sivir's going to push you in. Maybe Rise a little.
Rise will push you in with jungle pressure.
And we'll see where the jungler comes in. Unicorns still have to lock in. Gragas is available if Kikis wants to go that route. That Looks like it will be the case. I must mention as well, Hylissang's Morgana, a big reason why the Unicorns of Love made it to the finals in Madrid in the spring split. He just really had a fantastic series of games.
Yeah, great Morgana player, really clutch. Black Shield's good bindings. The Bard Hover?
Is it good here?
It's always good, Trevor. What are you saying?
It's always good.
Of course it's good. What are you saying? Okay, why Bard would be fantastic if Sivir wasn't in the picture is because you have an immobile or low mobility, if you want to nitpick. Low mobility Cassio, low mobility Rise to an extent that you can throw that Bard ulti on top of, close the gap and immediately blow them up. Could be done here. Not sure what else is open that he wants to pick.
Well, Nautilus is available if he wants to go that route, but Black Shield makes that life a little difficult.
All right, going back to the Unicorns comp here. Rise synergizes relatively well with Sivir because he can get to positions where he can dish out a lot of damage and kite people. Cassiopeia, not necessarily. Like, she has enough mobility on her own if she lands her spells, and might want to get away from certain players like Youngbuck, but on the hunt's not going to solve that. Bard is locked in here. One thing that you have to keep an eye out is Kikis on his Gragas. He's the one tank in Unicorns of Love's this game, and he will have to get really tanky on his own. Might claim those Black Shields. As on the Wolves, Airx wants to flank yet again. We've seen Maokai and Evelyn so many times together to varying degrees of success.
That's putting it lightly, I think, Crepo. But Airwax has been successful with it already. I'm interested to see the second Bard player here in Europe, Unlimited, and what sort of synergy he's going to have with Freeze, especially if he gets the 2v2 lane, which I think Unicorns might be happy with. We saw how good that Rise into Maokai matchup was.
Yeah, lane swap would speak in the Wolves' favor, I imagine, because you slow down the Rise a lot in his build path, and he's a hyper late game carry, so you don't want to let him scale that easily. So you want to slow him down. You want to get that tier later, the catalyst later, and most importantly, you don't want him to hit that Rod of Ages. So we're loading into the game right now. A very low wave clear, a lot of pressure coming out from the Unicorns early. If Power of Evil on Cassiopeia pushes in that cast in there, see how that pushes out. Yeah, lane swap would definitely help with that as well. If you have these high pressure situations, you definitely want to lane swap away and just trade towers as we saw earlier. Basically go, tower for tower.
Well, let's see if the lane swap comes into play, Crepo. As Unicorns of Love versus the Copenhagen Wolves is the final game of the day here in week 2. And your 15th game in a row, Crepo. Definitely welcome to the caster desk in hard mode, that's for sure.
Pardon me if I get a little repetitive sometimes.
But I'm happy to have you here, especially because Bard is in the game. And I believe it was game 5 that was Bard last week as well, so maybe this is a trend.
Good guy, LCS teams, just when my energy starts dipping, they just want to revitalize me with a Bard pick, and I'm loving it.
We'll see how effectively Unlimited can play as Kikis is trying to get some vision. It looks like it's going to be, once again, a standard defensive fan.
Rookie mistake, Unlimited. Picking up, going for those chimes early.
Tell me why it's a rookie mistake.
Because they give you mana. No, it's actually not a rookie mistake if you're lane swapping allied.
Oh, okay.
Experienced Bard player knows that he will not get those chimes anytime soon on the bot lane. It's actually sad if you think the average Bard level goes up in Europe, then taking chimes early will indicate a lane swap. And good thing Unicorns did not see Unlimited take those chimes, or they would have known that he's lane swapping. The mind games start already with those chimes. Fantastic champion. Riot done an incredibly good job on this.
Crepo, I genuinely have never seen you happier than when you talk about Bard. It's like you're in love.
Love the champion.
So let's see how this lane swap plays out. Top laners holding the hands of the respective junglers. We did see a Gromp ward as Hylissang and Vardags moved up, so a little extra vision on the side of Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, usually any Bard lane doesn't like doing camps and wants to stop the enemy as well, so Unicorns could have sniffed it as well, seeing that there's nobody coming to stop their double golems. They didn't get any advantage. They didn't freeze the bot lane either, so they're reacting pretty late to the lane swap. Hillstein's looking to interfere a bit. Airwax saved the smite. They did Wolves first, but he didn't smite, and that's what you have to do. You save your smite for the contestable buff, then you take 2 camps, not 3. You don't want any shenanigans right there. 2 is enough. You want to get out of there, split up the map again. Both teams start on the weak side, but no punishes there.
Well, I'm happy to see Power of Evil back on Cassiopeia. This was one of his signature champions coming into the LCS in the Spring Splits. And he's pushed the wave in, as you touched on in Picks and Bans, Crepo.
Soren's dropping a lot of CS here, already 5 CS behind, and this is exactly how this matchup plays out. Jungle and top laners are still busy clearing, because we know where the jungle and the top laner started. Power Evil has a good idea of where they are right now, what their speed's gonna be is. If he's well aware of it, he'll start leaning to the right side of his lane soon enough, potentially ward his left side.
Ooh, Cannon minion was missed. The crowd did not approve of that one. Freeze, for all of the hype and for all of the performance, got to get them CSs. So 4v0s again, as we are seeing a mixed amount, I feel.
It's very common when you don't have any wave clear yourself and you want to speed up that early game to get through that rough patch. Good move on the Wolves side, and UOL is pretty much forced to do the same thing right now, unless they already did what other teams sometimes do, is send 3 people there to stop it, but then you have the risk of getting dove. Both teams opt to do a gentleman straight. And this time, unlike last week, we see the waves being bounced back, and this is an improvement. Last week, Copenhagen Wolves did not do this. I got mildly angry. You're seeing a roam here from a limited level 3 on Power of Evil. He might be oversent a bit too much.
Well, let's find out. He manages to get a little movement speed increase.
Spotted it.
Slither his way away. But the next question, will Freeze freeze? Because last week on the Urgot, didn't really do a whole lot.
This time he can't freeze because the wave bounced away from him.
Well,
unless you're psychic and you pushes it in, resets it, and then freezes it away on this very elongated lane. Don't think that's going to happen. Lucian, aggressive early. Carry double pickaxes, picked up, swapped away. Copenhagen Wolves go back to the original lane setup to AD carry on bot lane. UOL, they send their carry to the top lane. So looks like these teams want to trade a couple more towers, keep this rise down.
We'll have to keep an eye on how these lanes continue to play out.
Magical Journey was used. Speed a little bit closer to the lane. Now I like, as I said before, Bard into Rise because he's not that mobile. So if you connect the Q slow, Lucian can dash in, do some damage. However, Rise Morgana is not to be underestimated as a 2v2 pairing. If you can, back in the day where lane swaps were a lot more common with Rise, pairing your support with Rise is dangerous for the enemy team. You have a snare. Usually the supports in that metagame had a lot of CC. Gragas is coming in here as well, and we might see that bloodbath we were hoping for so much.
Well, definitely what we're looking for. Unicorns of Love, remember, secured 1 kill and gave up 4 deaths before 15 minutes.
Might get punished here.
Let's take a look. Body slam does not connect, and you can see the 5-10 changes in action.
Get fit with Gragas, definitely punishing him a little bit there. Lost, like you said, that weight on the body slam. The collision radius was reduced. Return gank here. Arax sniffing out Vardax.
There is a teleport coming in from Youngbuck. Vardax is trying to put damage onto Youngbuck. We do see Vizichachi. He's going to pick up first blood there with the Rise. It will be Airwax going down, and that's a double kill for Vizichachi.
Vizichachi with the double kill on the hyper late game Rise carry. This is why you don't go for that play, because teleport can come in. You are forced out of your battle lane. You can't cancel it. Unicorns, meanwhile, grouping on the mid lane. Nobody wants to force him out and does not connect, and pressure everywhere from the Unicorns, and already 1,500 gold lead.
Well, Magical Journey unable to secure the kill. And we do see Vardax and Chachi. Ooh! Arcane Smash, not this time round.
3 commentators this
Just
you,
realized.
me, and the crowd. Love it.
Yeah, crowd's got a good amount of energy today, that's for sure. I just realized I said Youngbuck was teleporting in. It was Chachi that was teleporting in. It's been a long, long
You were just
day.
glancing into the future.
There we go.
Youngbuck teleported back to top lane.
Let's take a look at the CS there. 32 in favor of Youngbuck to the 14 of Chachi, but obviously double kill. And of course we see Power of Evil farming up a Storm versus Soren.
And look into what that translates. If we go back to the champ select where we said, yes, you want to lane swap. Why? Because you want to delay that tier, you want to delay that catalyst. Didn't happen. 2 kills on Chachi. If you want any kills in the early game on any champion, yes, Power Evil and Cassiopeia can be destructive and he can snowball, but on that rise, you secure your ticket into the mid to late game already this early into the game, and fantastic start for the Unicorns.
Well, we'll see if they can continue to capitalize, because Huni's rise went very, very far ahead. Once he
After starting
1v1ing.
0-2.
Yeah.
Wonder what a Rise can do when he starts 2-0.
Find out on the next episode of LCS.
Yes, exactly.
Let's visit
See,
Chachi.
what Unicorns can do here is actually sacrifice his dragon and do a CLG-esque approach where they freeze the lane for their top laner, and it wouldn't actually be that bad because Rise such good scaling. The lane is pushed in here, they can back off. I wonder if Chachi's gonna freeze that or not.
All right, we'll check on that in just a second. Vardags and Hylissang, they were forced to back away. We saw Vardags pick up that very early Avarice Blade, so gonna slow down his first item spike, but speed up his second as he works his way towards the Shiv on IH. Copenhagen Wolves are 1,000 gold down.
Yeah, I would like
Started
this.
to defend.
If the Wolves want to fight. They want to fight 5v5 at the Dragon, something where they can use the fact that Chachi is not that mobile, doesn't have that much tankiness just yet, only 1 Ruby Crystal worth in all those items because he has a lot of mana. If I were to keep the top lane frozen and they wander around the Dragon, don't really commit 4 or 5v4 too much, but stall Copenhagen Wolves from starting it. We saw it earlier, Youngbuck left that top lane, didn't push in the wave entirely, and we've been talking about this for a while, and meanwhile that lane is still in the exact same spot, and this is one of the times we actually do like to freeze because the cost is just too high for the Wolves. Yes, they might get a cross map objective in that Dragon, but the farm just goes to Chachi, and look at that CS gaps, getting closer and closer on top of those 2 kills.
Yeah, and both of these teams happy to play the slow game. As we hit 10 minutes, you can see those tiers need to stack. Those catalysts on the side of Copenhagen Wolves, they need to be converted to Rite of Ages. So almost every single one of these solo laners, rather Rite of Ages and Righteous Glory, of course, they're looking to convert, they're looking to upgrade those items. Now, 2v1, Visit Chachi's got access to his ultimate. Youngbuck does have that Vengeful Maelstrom, and we can see Airwax toying with the idea.
Look at how scared Airwax is of Chachi here. They're committing 2 members to a potential gank, but they were ready. They could have went for that play, but they're so afraid of the Rise already in the game that they don't want to go for that play. They lose a Dragon and nothing is happening here.
Airwax
If you're not going to go for that play, if you're not going to go for that kill, then why are you there?
This is such a big difference as well. Airwax against SK Gaming was incredibly aggressive. He was in SK's face over and over and over, and now he's running scared. He's literally playing a mobile ward, looking at Chachi and saying, here he is, there he is, he's still here, and the opportunity cost is very high.
Yeah, hesitation is the seed of defeat, and if this keeps going on, and Copenhagen Wolves are in for a rough time. Chachi backs off, gets the blasting wand. He's already so far ahead of where Huni was in that other game, and he's definitely manifesting himself as a tier 1 pick in the current metagame.
So Airwax has again found a member of Unicorns of Love. Unable to do anything with it this time around, and Kikis just body slams his way into the Baron pit.
The one hope for the Wolves here is Soren on this Kassadin. Incredible carry potential too. Anti-mage.
Little wards. Kikis is going to get pinned against the wall and limited. Lines up that shot. Kikis does have explosive cast. Going to hold on to it as he flashes over the wall. And Unicorns still hold on to their 1,500 gold lead.
Negatron Cloak finished up on Cassiopeia here. On Power of Evil, he wants to go for that Abyssal Scepter because he knows if there's any champion that's going to jump on you and get in range, it will be the Kassadin, and add a little extra magic damage allows you more time to dish out that continuous DPS on that Cassiopeia. You just want to stay alive long enough to get you burst, get your ulti stun off.
Oh, I've seen this before. I know how this ends.
Yeah.
With a dead tree, Chachi continues to chase. Doesn't hold on to, or doesn't use his flash, but down 20 CS, has the exact same item build, and just wins that trade.
Take notes, everybody. There's 1 point in Q for Visit Chachi, 1 point in E, and 4 already in the W. He's maxing that, and this is why you see that many snares come out in rapid succession. If you manage to land those Qs, get those snares up, get a whole lot of damage, a whole lot of crowd control. And ever so tanky Maokai is forced to play defensive, and usually when Maokais get kills is when they can go offensive and use their base damage to kill you, but if that's not enough, then you will drop dead. And Youngbuck doesn't even get in range for an auto attack, and if he does, he has to expend his Twisted Advance, and that means he can no longer dodge anything, and he'll get popped. So very precarious position to be in.
Unicorns of Love showing the Rise is doing great amounts of work. Bardex is going to find himself in a lot of trouble, and he eats so many shots from the culling. He gets taken out, but we don't see any golden crowns delivered as Bard gets knocked under the tower. Unlimited takes a magical journey away, but the turret shot and poison follows through. Ends up trading 1 for 1, 80 carries for supports. And Soren's going to be able to get away this time round. Bardex just running too close to a bush with not enough vision.
While the Unicorns are ahead, they still have to be careful with face-checking brushes. However, dropping the Sivir, not too bad. Utility-based AD carry. Pickaxe, BF, Avarice, definitely in a good spot in this game so far. Freeze, BF, Pickaxe, Hillersang's moving close.
And they're going to get themselves in trouble once again. Unicorns of Love give up a kill by walking to the dark, and they do it a second time.
And they walk towards the They really like that brush, Trevor.
Well, Soren now, he decides to jump in. Power of Evil gets the poison down. Want to just sink a few more fangs, but opts against it.
Yeah, Chachi doesn't like that rush too much. He has his eyes on the big wave masked on the top lane. Look at all those minions, and Copenhagen Wolves not with the best lane control here. They're trying to stop the bleeding, but every time something happens and you go back to the top lane, there's a massive wave of minions there. Vanishes in mere seconds. 78 CS to 81. The one so big CS advantage has just been nullified right now.
So Unicorns should be happy with that. They still hold on to their lead. Dragon's coming up soon. I'm not sure I'd want to fight Unicorns with Sivir, Rise, and Cassio in the pit.
Well, it's more of a question, do you fight them now or do you fight them later, and what do you prefer?
My answer would be...
Never.
Never. But obviously that's not an option if you want to try contest for the win here. Unicorn's going to secure their second tower. Quite uncontested, and there's that lack of wave clear from Copenhagen Wolves. They didn't have an option to defend because they had no wave clear to do so.
Yeah, a lot of pressure coming out from the Wolves here. 1,000 gold ahead. We might see some action at the next Dragon. Soren has been farming well. 120 CS. Rodove just finished. Pretty nimble. Can jump around in these fights. Has a decent amount of damage. Remember, only one tank on the Unicorns. Only Gragas. And a lot of ways and means to just ignore him straight up from the Wolves as well. If they can get the engage in the flank, Ryze can drop still. Cassiopeia can drop still. We're not to that late game yet.
I'm glad you said that because Huni's build earlier was not tanky at all. Not the Frozen Heart sort of tanky MR armor build that we saw from Ryzers of old. It was full AP focus. Even got a Luden's Echo in there for additional burst because of how many spells that Ryze will rattle off.
Yeah, Wood is definitely interesting to see how he enters that Ryze build. Soren wants some more farm. Wants the game to slow down somehow, but because scaling does go into the Unicorn's favor here.
We'll see whether or
unlimited.
See whether or not they can get into that late game crab run. I do want to touch on the items really quickly again because the gold lead hasn't changed much. Rod's been stacking for Vizichachi and Soren. Dragon's uncontested here by the Wolves. They've gone for option number 2, fight later, not fight today. Evil's going to pick up some more. So it's an arms race until one team decides they're comfortable enough to look for a pick.
Airwax going.
Airwax is going to jump on Chachi. Chachi's going to be able to get away. Unscathed.
Throws his hands in the air. Simply doesn't care. It's hard. It's hard for the Wolves to find an opening in this game right now. Freeze in the mid lane. Soren splitting in bot. More wave clear on your AD carry than your mid laner. They have a problem here. They're looking for a bit of a dive. This is a good 4-man group here, forcing somebody else. If they can get this tower, a really good momentum shift for the Wolves.
No,
oh no, Hunter gets popped.
So Tempered Fate gets thrown out and the Black Shield blocks it away. Hylissang unaffected as the minions were the only things rooted. I heard the Petrifying Gaze, but nobody got stunned up. And a couple people going on a magical journey. No unicorns decide to follow through. So Copenhagen Wolves get out and they take the tower down bottom.
And the unicorns will want to get another objective of this, but
That was fantastic from Kikis as he knocks Youngbuck into the team and secures a kill.
yeah, Kik is proving that not only is League of Legends Pro, is also very good at pinball. Unlimited goes down.
And a flash from Vizichachi gets the kill. Unicorns now still setting their sights on the inner turret. Soren's coming from the river, but I don't think he wants this fight.
Yeah, he caught the tower on bottom and he said to his team, guys, stay passive, stay silent. Just try and clear the way, but good opening from Unicorns. Really solid play by Kikis, and you said it in champs, like, you didn't like him on Nunu because he couldn't make any plays, and, well, I have to give you props for that one because Kikis on Gragas is making these plays, showing that he's mastered one of the higher tier junglers here, and a good opening.
And we saw earlier in the game how Kikis didn't connect with that body slam. So, of course, the slightly narrower width and explosion radius at the end, but this time around, over the wall, no less. Chops down Youngbuck where he stands. Youngbuck's still trying to get tanky, but really just a mismatch of items.
And Youngbuck looking for that righteous glory. Let's finish that, close the gap. Get on top of the Rise, get on top of the Cassiopeia, shut them down immediately before they can dish out too much damage. Falling behind the Airwax scouting, and he has 2 kills, but he has to be careful that he doesn't follow his fence grenade path. Evelyn is incredibly squishy at times in the game, so you have to make use of a good ultimate to get that shield going, and then the value out of that. Hylissang finds that his tower does not have enough true sight. There's another pink word on that.
Well, Kikis gets rooted up. The barrel's actually going to knock Airwax to safety. Blue buff was not stolen, though. Keep that in mind. So
Tempting, that portal.
Airwax unable to take it. It's difficult to not push the button.
It is. Restraint is necessary.
Maybe you do not
some
click the journey.
Magical journeys don't have a happy ending. Hylissang going low.
Well, Freeze with the second culling of the game where almost every shot hits. He's sitting on that Infinity Edge and a very big CS lead over Vardag's Sivir, but unfortunately doesn't get the kill.
At 30 seconds for next Dragon. 5% extra movement speed.
The Baron.
For the Baron. I was wrong.
Dragon's a few minutes away.
Icons, what are they? What do they do? Who am I?
I'm afraid I can't answer that question for you. We do see another early Aegis. Teams are learning this week, something we didn't really see too much of last week. And we do see Chachi. He's
One
fought
snare,
Youngbuck
2 snares,
Tower is
3
low.
snares.
You see Vardag's
4 snares.
coming in.
I think we're starting to identify why this champion, Trevor, is good and why you may be wise enough to pick up some Mercury threads against this champion.
Well, it's definitely going to be needed. Unicorns of Love get their 6th kill, their 4th tower. Dragons up in 2 minutes.
More snares than a drum recital.
Broken 20 minutes on the clock. The Unicorns are making the Wolves dance to their beat. Soren jumps in for the team fight. Unlimited, can you save your teammates? Tempered Fate comes down and Vardax, I think spell shielded that one. Soren does not get away as Vardax gets one more auto attack. Big critical hit onto Airwax. The barrel throws him against the wall. Another barrel throws it down. Agony's Embrace will not keep him alive. And Vardax and Power of Evil get some more kills on the board. This is what we were expecting.
This is the bloodbath we were looking for. 8-2 right now. Unicorn 6,000 gold ahead. Vizichachi virtually untouched. And Power Evil, he doesn't even have to land the stun of Petrifying Gaze. He can just chase Evelyn down their flashes aggressively, and towers going down, no wave clear. Things looking grim for the Wolves, and they're wondering, why did we leave Rise open?
It's getting a whole lot more grim, because if you look at the itemization that's just been picked up, Archangels completed and instantly upgraded to Seraphs for Rise. Luden's Echo in the mid lane. Static Shiv and Vamsept, Sork Shoes as well. Like, Unicorns of Love have just spent all of that gold lead.
Efficiently as well. Really solid combat stat. Aegis finished 2 on Morgana. Everything works in unison. They're hitting quite decent power spikes in the mid game while they keep scaling for the late game at the same time. Wolves, they will need to make a pick a la Roccat earlier. Surprise the Unicorns with their decision. find the pick somehow, take one guy down, then take the next guy down, keep resetting somehow. Prevent the Wolves or Unicorns from pinning them down, and Dragon, or Baron rather, is live at this point. Very quick Baron as well. Remember that Cassiopeia Rise, we throw somebody off guard.
And a third Dragon to boot.
This one's actually the Dragon, not the Baron.
Unicorns of Love can play any threat they want at this stage. They've got wave clear, they've got mobility, disengage, threat on Baron. It's just a matter of pick your way to win.
Master of all trades, jack of none at this point for the Unicorns.
Oh, when you're that far ahead, you don't really mind. 8,000 gold. That was a 1.5. That's a flash route. Soren is nowhere to be seen.
If you can flash snare a Kassadin and take him down before it's time to jump out, things are getting pretty dire here. Unicorns, they want to snowball this game. They don't want to take it to the late game like we've been talking about. They want to end this game early.
So let's see if they can get this inhibitor turret. 20 seconds left before Soren is able to spawn. Tempered Fate's available. It's going to lock up a few Unicorns of Blood, but it's simply not enough. Youngbuck gets knocked forward and everyone gets knocked away. A kill on the board here for Copenhagen Wolves goes to Unlimited before Youngbuck is dropped. That's a double kill for Power of Evil, and Unicorns turn their attention to the tower.
Hylissang reclaiming his title of European Sniper with another fantastic bind on Airwax there. Open up the possibility to take that inhibitor. Good Bard ultimate from Unlimited, but it was too little, too late. And the crowd is favoring the Unicorns.
I wasn't aware of that.
I wonder why.
I wasn't aware of that at all. Unicorns of Love, 11-3. They got super minions at 23 minutes. What a great position to be.
Unfortunately, again, this is why Bard ultimate is good in theory, because you can keep some guys invulnerable, then take out the rest while the tower hits them, so you make the 5v4 fight, or 5v2 potentially, but Vizichachi deals enough damage to go out. Shutdown goes on Unlimited as well. And then this bind on Airwax, just nailing the coffin right there.
So good. And with the base cracked open, it's difficult to see how the Wolves are going to bounce back now. They've got to do so much to defend.
And now I wonder, did the Wolves do the Unicorns a favor by banning Kog'Maw and Varus?
Hard to see why not. Especially when you look at the pick ban and you think that, yes, Bard was the last pick, but we've seen multiple times Spell Shield and Black Shield preventing that Tempered Fate from doing anything.
Yeah. It's very hard to do use that spell efficiently. This is why I think this lane swap...
Oh, Youngbuck is in so much trouble. The stun does connect, but he's got so many Unicorns to cut him down.
If you take the magical journeys, bring your buddies for the group discount, and then it might actually work out. Unlimited has to flash out here.
You see him in trouble. Another magical journey. Unicorns deciding to follow suit.
You get a journey, you get a journey. Everybody gets a journey.
Cosmic Binding connects. Dark Binding does not, so Unlimited able to get away. But Unicorns now with the threat of Baron. Looks like they're going to stop.
Let's see this DPS right here. Cassiopeia, good at Barons. Rise, fantastic at Barons. Watch that Baron drop down.
Oh, by the time the Wolves get there, it'll be taken. Look at the super minions in the base as well.
Tempered Fate's down.
Baron secured. Everyone take the journey. That's 1 and 2, and into the Raptor camp they go. Power of Evil 7-0-2 as he chops down Bard. And the super minions got a Nexus turret.
Yeah, I'm a bit flabbergasted here, Trevor. Help me out. Not too much to analyze. I think these very graphic images speak for themselves at this point. Caution is advised when watching.
Oh! Soren unable to make that Rift Walk work. Hylissang was chasing. We did actually see there was 0 Barons for Unicorns up until that very first one. However, that was just in the 2 previous games. Is he
soloing Kassadin?
Oh, the flash away. Soren's still alive. Hylissang's chasing. I believe. Hylissang doesn't connect with the Dark Binding, but unreal.
Observers, go back to the real thing. Go back to what's important.
Flash over the wall. Ah, Hylissang doesn't have flash.
I think he would have used it.
He would have got the kill if he did have flash, I believe.
Soren finally finding himself a long battle, goes back home, back to his base, only to find it in ruins. Because the Unicorns took down 2 inhibitors. A decently sized wave, ready to go for that third.
Super minions already in the bottom half of the map, and that turret is gone. There's the Chachi even TPing in here. This is most likely the final fight, Crepo. 13,000 gold in the lead. Kikis, he's had magical barrels already. 0-0-9. Soren, I think, charging up that Rift Walk. Chachi is now moving forward here on the hunt. Kikis has gone over, and there's one more barrel. Bardax gets the kill as Youngbuck is trying to find the support Morgana, and that's just not enough. Cosmic Binding goes wide. Power of Evil is poisoning the Copenhagen Wolves. They get one more tower, and this is the last in him.
You talked about it earlier, how Vardex did so little of his team's damage, but this time I can't blame him. So much damage from Chachi, from Power Evil, and I'm just gonna let the crowd finish this one off.
Tempered Fate goes down, holds the last tower for a few more seconds, but the Unicorns of Love are onto the Nexus, and they destroy Copenhagen Wolves in 27 minutes. That's what happens when Rise goes 2-0 in the laning phase.
Yeah. A lot of snares.
Kickers hit every single barrel. Power of Evil, 7-0-4 on Cassio.
I'm happy to see the Unicorns revitalize like this. I'm not a fan of when teams become predictable. Yes, the style might work, but I like to vary it up. So once you perfect the style, once you know it works, once you know you can do it, switch it up, especially in this season earlier, because by playoffs you want to be ready with a mix of different strategies. And yet again, you pointed it out earlier, Hirasangon's Morgana, they're so solid. Just a foundation that the Unicorns need to build on.
When you watch a game like that from Unicorns of Love, every single individual player performed exceptionally. Chachi did great, Kikis did great, Power of Evil cleaned up because there was never any pressure to do more, and Vardax and Hillesang dodged every Tempered Fate that was important, that could be game-changing, with the Spell Shield and the Black Shield. So just a great team performance in the flavor that got the Unicorns of Love all those fans to begin with.
Don't be mistaken, guys. Bard may have a 0% win rate, but there is still hope for you out there. Just keep on believing, please. I have to.
Well, definitely, unfortunately, not working out for Unlimited this time round. Unicorns of Love, much better than week one.
Yeah.
Much more decisive. Copenhagen Wolves, much less so.
I think this is one of those cases where they fall victim to their composition as well. When you're forced to lane swap to at least get through the early game. And then I think it all boils down to that crucial play where they went for, yeah, we see it, Vizichashi on that rise. The bans were Kog'Maw and Varus banned out, removing any option to poke for the Unicorns. They said, Copenhagen Wolves said, well, we want to fight. And may have been the wrong decision.
It also makes you wonder if they were expecting a different team composition. If the Copenhagen Wolves ban out the poke, assuming Unicorns will play a different style, because you mentioned it in the game how maybe they're regretting leaving that Rise open. Maybe they're regretting letting Chachi get his hands on that champion because it was first pick Cassio and then I think second rotation Rise. What a game changer.
Now, as we've seen before with champions that do really well in their initial weeks, there are ways to counter them. We saw Ashe do relatively well in week one and get absolutely bodied early today by Forgiven. Just got chain ganked over and over and over. And why? Because Ashe doesn't have that much mobility. Rise also lacks that mobility to an extent, has more defensive appeal for himself, but at the same time, could have gotten punished, but he got teleported on, started a snowball for Chachi. He was down in CS, as you said, but you know, if you can take some kills, get that tier catalyst going.
Well, he definitely did, and once Chachi got going, it was Kikis that helped set up the rest of the team. So we're going to throw to Pyra on stage, who's going to talk to Kikis about that win.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. I am joined by the Barrel Master himself. It is indeed Kikis. And I just got to ask you, you've been playing Gragas for a couple of weeks now, but last split, we saw you pull out all sorts of crazy stuff. The Fizz, one of the things that comes to mind, and of course now the Shaco that everyone knows and remembers and loves. If you could play all of those champions, and you can also play the standard stuff like Gragas, is there anything you can't play?
Well, actually, no, there is nothing.
Master of all, Jack of none, as Crepo said. So wow. I wanna take a little bit of a step back. You can go ahead and qualify later if you want. But last week, your team looked maybe a little bit shaky, 1-1. Not the worst start, but you know everyone was maybe questioning, is the magic slowly disappearing or not? I think you've made a pretty strong statement with this game here, but you know, are Unicorns back? Where do you see the way you guys are ranked currently or going forward in the split?
Well, I actually don't think our first week was bad. I think we played decent. We played versus like the best team in Europe, Fnatic, and mostly we failed the tower dive, and then the game kind of snowballed. But I think we still played decent enough that I wouldn't really call that was like a fluke or our first week was bad. And I think we are actually pretty strong right now. And I would put myself or like my team in the top 3 at the end of the split.
Good confidence, and you know it's true. Well placed. You know you did play. You've only lost to what everyone considers to be, most everyone considers to be the strongest team in Europe right now, in Fnatic. And you guys have some tougher competition though going forward in the split. We've got Origin now in the mix with the new team coming in and some other teams stepping up, being stronger. How do you see the power shift in Europe in general past where you guys?
Yeah, this split definitely seems a bit stronger than the last one, but I don't think the competition is that higher. Of course, there were some roster swaps. There were like the AD carry shuffle, which I don't think was actually good for like 2 of the teams, Gambit and SK. And Origin seems really strong, but other than that, the competition is similar than the last split. But yeah, Origin is a really good addition to the competition, and I'm really looking forward to playing versus them.
Really looking forward to playing them, and I expect to see an awesome match when that finally does happen. Well, thank you for joining us very much, Kikis. Congratulations on your win, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Now, we're going to go ahead and send it back to the analyst desk to finish it up and wrap up the day.
Thank you so much, Pyra and Kikis. Kikis there, laying down the law. And I think it's quite interesting because obviously before this split, we were saying, okay, well, it's going to be so incredibly stacked here and there. But it does seem that he has a point, and there's 2 clear, well, very strong teams at the top right now. Although we're just a couple of games in, I can follow his lead, Trevor.
I completely agree. And it's actually something that I said on PTL last night as well. It's something that will take time to settle. I'm going to refer to, of course, the comments about the AD carries. Kik is saying that he feels Gambit and SK were hurt by the moves. They have been right now. There are 15 games left for both of these teams to improve and improve drastically. When you look at what Unicorns just did, when you look at what Origin have been doing, when you look at what Fnatic have been doing, those are the targets for all of these teams to be aspiring to.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, UOL just got to touch on the game with stress maybe one more time, because a lot stemmed, as you guys said, from the, well, quite, I want to say horrible, I'm just going to say it, horrible draft from Copenhagen Wolves. But when you look back to the bans, Kog'Maw, Varus, those are bans that are actually quite good. And the rec side, there's nothing to bring in against that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that they just wanted to get away from what Paravival's been playing recently. But quite frankly, when you look at the matchups they ended up with, you got Ryze into Maokai that we saw earlier, does not go well for Maokai. You ended up with Kassadin on the Wolf side against Cassiopeia, which is going to go well for the Cassiopeia, and even the jungle against Gragas from the Unicorns. It's you picked yourself into 3 very tough matchups against, players from Unicorns that are very good when they have that one, that lane matchup that they want.
All right, indeed, and it played out that way for the Unicorns of Love as well. Another victory for them. Stepping back and looking at the day as a whole, one carry really stood out, picking up 14 kills, 18 assists in his team's clash with SK Gaming with a total of 59 points. But it ends Niels as today's LCS fantasy leader. He wants it all. He had the MVP. He wants to be the LCS fantasy leader. He is stepping up.
I'm a little sad because I've got his support on my fantasy team. He only got me 47 points, but I think all credit to all of Origin. The only reason Neil's got so many kills is because his entire team kept enabling it.
And I mean, Origin just in general, you have to wonder where's it going to stop. They took down the number 3 team from Spring Split last week. They took down number 4. That means there's only 2 teams left from that top side, and SK aren't looking like they're going to stop Origin anytime soon.
No, they are definitely looking strong. I think LoL Esports retreated someone who had almost all members from Origin in the lineup, and then Bjergsen as well in there. So that guy's doing good this week. Now, with the dust settled, here's how the standings look halfway through week 2. Of course, as we said already, undefeated at the top of the table, Origin and Fnatic. Then a bunch of teams in the middle of the table at 1 and 2, but at the bottom, Gambit Gaming and SK. And well, what stress for you has been more surprising in this one? Gambit and SK trying to find their footing, but it still hasn't been there.
Yeah, they've just found no footing at all. They're basically in freefall. But for any Gambit and SK fans, this is not a big alarm bell yet. I'll take you back to Spring Split. H2K, coming into week 3, were not on form. Little bit of a tweak in their lineup, brought in Kissing, and they ended up 3rd in the season. So it is not all over yet. Don't start jumping ship at all.
Yeah, we'll need a Kissing 2.0 for that Kissing effect to get people back into good results here. But I think it's interesting that Rise has entered the fray, and while teams may have not prepared for it fully, they will definitely have to prepare for it tomorrow. And this might throw a lot of preparation teams have done. Usually they start their picks and bans halfway through the week, then scrim a little more, perfect the plans, and have everything ready for their matches. But now suddenly this big question mark pops up. Most teams should have been prepared for the Rise, but they may not have been. And then it's always going to be interesting to see how these picks and bans evolve. We went on top of it on the start of the show. We saw Alistar come in a lot. We were like, yeah, you have to ban Alistar. You have to ban Rise. Doesn't leave that much room anymore.
It really doesn't. What it also will show tomorrow is which teams are able to adapt in the shorter space of time and who can use the Rise and who cannot. Because at the moment, I think it's 2-0 with 3 bans. So we'll need to see if people decide, oh, we've got a counter for it, or if you're just going to completely ban it, and then let top lane carries get the carries they're most comfortable on.
Yeah, a lot of work for the coaches overnight to come up with those new plans maybe for tomorrow. But the standings could all change tomorrow as well. Of course, week 2 will continue with Gambit taking on Fnatic in our very first game tomorrow. We have Unicorns of Love versus Rocket. H2K versus Elements is our first game, and I'm very, very much looking forward to that. H2K looked so strong today, and Elements Crepo just, well, not there yet, and even losing to Giants in a very, very convincing fashion.
Yeah, definitely disappointing loss. Elements came out 1-1 in the first week, I believe, and then they wanted to make a statement. They wanted to get that win on the board to stay competitive, and just lost, and not, as you said, in a convincing fashion, and just wasn't all there. Poor prioritization by Jungle Pressure too, and they need to work on their plan going into the game. They need to think a couple more steps ahead, and we'll see tomorrow if they're ready for H2K to do that.
Yeah, but like a disappointed father, you're really keeping
As a
track of
macro level analyst,
Yes.
I am disappointed in many teams, not only Elements.
All right. Well, set your alarms tomorrow because the action starts at 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. If you're not up by 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time, I hope you won your promos. Until then, we're going to call it a night on behalf of the European LCS team. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll hear, oh my God. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the exciting conclusion of week 2. Goodbye.
We're getting ready to kick off week number 2 here in Europe, and here we go. Dexter burning away. Will he fall afterwards? Frederick helps it out, and it ends up being a double from Pepe.
Alistar. Nice. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Nice. And that is gonna be GG. Giants are 2-1. But he flashes away. Steve, push back. Emperor's Divine, True Shot Barrage. The combo is real as Nuked Up now being fired down.
Fnatic, they close it out with a 3-0 so far.
He pops his clone, or he gets his clone popped, I should say, as Lulex gets a massive knock-up and a triple kill again. Going over to Yarnin. They have managed to take down Gambit Gaming.
You like your fans, Sony?
Oh, of course I have to like, you know. They're so
But
good.
you never post anything on Twitter.
Of course,
Because he cannot speak English.
Yeah. Actually, in fact, it's true, you know.
Get ready. Get ready.
They flung Fox in and he's down. He just gets obliterated. His HP melted like a hot knife through butter. Origin open up the summer split, proving that they are the real deal. Tempered Fate's available. It's going to lock up a few Unicorns of Blood, but it's simply not enough. Youngblood gets knocked forward and everyone gets knocked away. They destroy Copenhagen Wolves in 27 minutes.